I had this revelation today that I wanted to share with you. It was about, for a while, I kept thinking that I was starting over in my career, starting over in creativity, starting over in this season of life. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that that wasn't true at all. Because starting over would imply that everything that came before somehow doesn't exist. And that is not my story. My story is I'm not starting over, I'm just starting again. I want to talk about the women who have changed my perspective. There are several women that I admire that changed the way that I think about success and reinvention. And one that stands out the most for me is Hoda Kotb. People know her as the face of the morning show. What people don't recognize is that she didn't become the co-anchor of the Today Show until the age of 53. Like 53. After decades of building her career, she became this household name. But what I admire about Hoda is that years later, she decided to evolve again and she wanted to move into this new season of life.
Company. But I have to say, life is so crazy. Like sometimes blessings come early in life and sometimes they come late. All of my blessings, all of them, came after 50. Every single one. I got my beautiful kids after 50. I got the job I dreamt of on the Today Show with Savannah after 50. Everything happened then. So life to me is so crazy. You were talking about longevity just before, and I was thinking, isn't it crazy how sometimes you think, did I miss my window? And then I realized, at least for me, that things happen right on time. I'm starting a new business as a CEO. I am learning to be in that role in my 60s. So it just shows you, like, life is wide open. You decide if it's over or not.
Another woman who inspires me is Deborah Lee. Deborah Lee, after decades of leadership, she became the CEO of BET at the age of 51, a role that she has spent years preparing for. But after leaving that role, she didn't stop evolving. She continued building, mentoring, and creating impact in new ways. What inspires me about these women isn't that the women became successful after the age of 50, is that they kept evolving after they had already become successful. They never decided that they are done becoming who they want to be. I totally admire that. So, if you've ever heard this cliche, which I'm sure you have, that fear is the number one thing that will hold you back, it would actually paralyze you from moving forward. And I've been thinking about this idea of starting again, and I've realized some surprising things about myself, that I'm not actually afraid of change. I've done some really hard things. I've built a business, I've changed careers, I went back to school later in life. I stepped into a totally different industry, and I'm a beginner all over again. Those choices don't come from someone who's afraid of risk. So I'm not afraid of change. What I'm, ex- I believe what I am afraid of is admitting out loud that I don't have every part of this chapter figured out. Talking openly about uncertainty, um, look, putting myself in front of a camera, hearing my voice, looking at myself getting older, wondering if other people are going to see me as I don't know what, or judge me while I'm still evolving. This kind of vulnerability feels much scarier than changing careers ever could have been. So earlier, I was talking about I had this reflection, and I had discovered some things about myself, and that was that I wasn't afraid of change. And then I went off into the fact that there are a lot of women that I admire and that inspire me, that have changed my perspective about how I think about success and reinvention. That brings me until this point. What am I building now? Why does this channel exist? Well, I just realized that that's the kind of life that I want. Not the life where I just arrive somewhere and don't grow or stop growing. A life that keeps me moving, learning, exploring, and becoming. For me, that's like travel, creativity, and adventure is what this channel is about. Travel reminds me of how much I still have not experienced. Creativity reminds me that I'm still capable of learning something new. Adventure reminds me that waiting until I'm ready will probably never happen. But this channel isn't really about travel and design. It's about permissions. Permissions to try something new, permissions to change directions, permission to become a beginner again. And hopefully, the moments that you remind yourself that you are also allowed to become too. So if you're learning to try something new or reinventing yourself, chasing a dream that you keep putting off, or simply just trying to build a life that feels better than the one you left behind, I encourage you to come along with me. And I hope you'll come along with me, because none of us are just starting over. If anything, maybe we're just all starting. Thank you for joining me on the beginning of this journey. If you're building, learning, growing, and starting again, I hope you'll come along for the ride. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me for more travel, creativity, and adventure. I'll see you in the next video.